The Confederation scout ship Nebula Seeker drifted silently at the edge of the Sol system. Captain Zegtar stared at the blue-green planet displayed on the main screen, his four eyes blinking nervously in sequence. He ran a slender, six-fingered hand over the control panel, checking the readings for the third time. "This cannot be correct," he muttered. "Recalibrate the sensors." Science Officer Vex Neal hurried to comply, her pale pink skin flushing a deeper shade as she worked. "Captain, I have recalibrated twice already. The readings remain consistent. It is a Class 15 Deathworld." The bridge fell silent. No one in the crew of 12 had ever encountered such a planet, let alone one that showed signs of advanced civilization. "Impossible," declared Navigation Officer Krelzon. "No intelligent species could evolve on such a world. The gravity alone would crush most life forms. And these atmospheric readings? Oxygen levels that high would be toxic to most species." Vex Neal adjusted her viewing apparatus. "Yet the transmissions are undeniable. Radio signals, digital communications, artificial satellites. Something intelligent lives there." Captain Zegtar made a decision. "We were sent to observe only. We will maintain distance and—" "Captain," interrupted communications specialist Priltex. "We are receiving a direct transmission from the third planet. They have detected us." Panic spread across the bridge. A Class 15 species had spotted them from over 200 million kilometers away. "On screen," ordered Zegtar, his voice quavering slightly. The message was simple. "Unknown vessel, this is Earth Space Command. We welcome peaceful contact. Please respond." "They speak," gasped Krelzon. "Actual language, not just primitive signals." Captain Zegtar straightened his posture. The Confederation's first contact protocols were clear, even for unlikely scenarios like this. "Send the standard greeting package. Inform Central Command immediately. We need guidance." Commander Alex Wilson floated calmly in the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching as the alien vessel approached. The ship was beautiful, sleek and silver with glowing blue highlights that pulsed rhythmically. "Still can't believe this is happening," said Dr. Eleanor Wright, the station's lead xenobiologist. She pushed herself away from the viewport and spun slowly in the zero gravity. Alex nodded. 50 years of wondering if we're alone in the universe, and now we have our answer. "They're being extremely cautious," Eleanor noted. "Their responses suggest they're terrified of us for some reason." "Well, we did have to talk them into this meeting," Alex replied. "And they insisted on neutral territory, minimal personnel, and maximum safety protocols." The communication system beeped. "Commander, the alien shuttle has docked at Airlock 7. Reported mission control." "Time to make history," Alex said with a smile. "Let's not keep our visitors waiting." Zegtar felt, his heart's racing as the airlock cycled. The shuttle journey from the Nebula Seeker had been nerve-wracking enough, but now he was moments away from facing creatures from a Class 15 Deathworld. His protective suit felt suddenly inadequate. "Remember," he told his small team, "minimal movement, no sudden gestures. These humans may interpret anything as a threat. They evolved in a predator-rich environment." Vex Neal checked her atmospheric sensors for the 5th time. "Captain, even with our suits, exposure should be limited to 30 minutes maximum. The gravity alone will strain our bodies." "Understood," said Zegtar. "Let us proceed." The airlock opened, revealing a simple chamber with another door on the far side. The gravity was indeed uncomfortable, almost 1.3 times what they were accustomed to on the ship. The inner door slid open, and Zegtar froze in terror. The humans were nothing like what they had expected. Two bipedal beings floated into the chamber. They wore no protective gear whatsoever, just simple blue uniforms with patches and insignia. Their skin was exposed, their faces visible. They looked so vulnerable. Where were their natural defenses? Their armor? Their weapons? One of the humans, slightly taller with short brown hair, pushed gently against a wall and drifted toward them. The being stopped at a respectful distance and raised an empty hand in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our solar system. I am Commander Alex Wilson of Earth Space Command. Ziktar nearly collapsed in shock. The human's voice was calm, measured, articulate. Not the roar of a predator or the guttural sounds he had expected from a species that evolved on such a brutal world. The second human, with longer hair tied back, spoke next. I am Dr. Eleanor Wright, xenobiologist. We are honored by your presence, and hope this meeting begins a friendship between our peoples. The translator device rendered their words perfectly. These were not primitive utterances, but complex, sophisticated language. I am Captain Ziktar of the Confederation scout ship Nebula Seeker, he finally managed to say. This is my science team. Dr. Wright smiled, a facial expression that showed teeth but somehow did not seem threatening. Your ship is beautiful, Captain. We've been observing it since you entered our system. You have been watching us? Asked Vex Neal, her scientific curiosity momentarily overcoming her fear. Yes, Commander Wilson replied. Our deep space tracking systems detected your deceleration as you entered the outer system. We've been monitoring your approach, hoping for peaceful contact. Ziktar was baffled. These humans moved with ease despite the crushing gravity. They breathed the toxic oxygen atmosphere without protection. They spoke in complete, complex sentences. Yet they came from a world with extreme temperature variations, dangerous radiation levels, powerful storms, tectonic instability, and countless predators. You seem surprised, Captain, observed Dr. Wright. Is something wrong? You are not what we expected, Ziktar admitted. Your world. In our classification system, Earth is what we call a Class 15 Deathworld, the most extreme rating possible. No Confederation species has ever encountered intelligent life from such a planet. The humans exchanged glances. A Deathworld? Commander, Wilson asked. I suppose that explains the protective suits. To us, Earth is simply home. Perhaps, Dr. Wright suggested with another smile. What is deadly to one form of life is merely challenging to another. Our differences may be our greatest opportunity to learn from each other. Ziktar felt a strange sensation. His fear was giving way to curiosity, perhaps even admiration. These humans were not savage beasts, but intelligent beings who had mastered their harsh environment so completely that they no longer even recognized its dangers. Yes, he said, straightening to his full height despite the uncomfortable gravity. Perhaps you are right, Dr. Wright. The Confederation has much to learn about your species, and I suspect you have questions about ours as well. Commander Wilson extended a hand, a gesture the translator explained was called a handshake, a human greeting ritual. Then let's begin, said the human. Welcome to humanity's neighborhood. 3 months after first contact, the joint human-alien space station Unity hung in space at the Earth-Moon L4 point. The station resembled a giant wheel with spokes extending from a central hub. Different sections were built for various atmospheric requirements, with special airlocks and adaptive zones where species could interact. Dr. Samantha Lopez floated through the central hub, making her way to the latest cultural exchange session. As Earth's leading cultural anthropologist, she had been studying the Confederation species with fascination. Dr. Lopez, called a voice behind her. Chief Ryan Garcia pushed off from a nearby wall and drifted alongside her. Heading to the meeting. With Glipmore? Yes, she replied. Today we're discussing Earth's natural history. I'm a bit worried about how they'll react. Ryan nodded. His job as station security chief kept him busy managing the interactions between humans and aliens. Just remember, they scare easier than we do. Maybe go light on the dinosaurs and supervolcanoes. Samantha laughed. I'll try, but they asked specifically about Earth's evolution. Hard to skip the mass extinctions. They reached the special conference room designed with a divided atmosphere. One half contained standard Earth air, while the other was filled with the methane-rich mixture that Confederation delegates preferred. A transparent barrier separated the two sections, with advanced audio systems allowing conversation. Inside, Glipmore was already waiting. The alien cultural liaison had a slender body with 4 jointed legs and 2 pairs of arms. His skin shimmered with iridescent blue patterns that changed color with his mood. Greetings, Dr. Lopez, Glipmore said, his translator converting the series of clicks and whistles into English. And Chief Garcia, I am pleased you could join us today. Behind Glipmore stood HFY, a high-ranking Confederation diplomat. Unlike Glipmore's friendly demeanor, HFY maintained a rigid posture, her crimson skin darkening whenever humans approached. Today's cultural exchange topic is the evolutionary history of species, Glipmore announced. I have prepared information about the 12 core Confederation worlds. Glipmore activated the room's display system. Images appeared showing various planets, all strikingly similar. Gentle landscapes with stable climates, predictable weather patterns, and minimal geological activity. This is Haroon, homeworld of the Zeltec, Glipmore explained, pointing to a planet with rolling hills and shallow seas. It experiences annual temperature variations of just 5 degrees. No significant tectonic activity has occurred in over 20 million years. Each planet in the presentation showed similarly mild conditions. No extreme seasons, no major natural disasters, few predatory species. When the presentation ended, Samantha cleared her throat. That was fascinating, Glipmore. The stability of your homeworlds explains much about Confederation culture. Yes, Glipmore agreed. Now please tell us about Earth. Samantha activated her presentation. The first image showed Earth from space. Earth has 7 continents separated by oceans covering 71% of the surface. We experience everything from frozen polar regions to burning deserts, with temperature variations exceeding 150 degrees between extremes. HFY visibly flinched. And your species can survive in all these environments? With proper equipment? Yes, Samantha continued. Our planet has active tectonic plates that cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. We have seasonal storms called hurricanes, with winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. The aliens stared in silence as Samantha showed footage of natural disasters, tornadoes tearing through towns, volcanoes erupting, tsunamis crashing into coastlines. And yet you build your homes in these locations? Glipmore asked, fascination overcoming his horror. We adapt, Ryan explained. We build stronger buildings, develop warning systems, create emergency plans. The presentation continued to Earth's wildlife. When images of lions, sharks, and venomous snakes appeared, HFY moved back from the barrier. These predators still exist on your world? She asked. They have not been eliminated? Many are actually protected species now, Samantha explained. Earth's biodiversity is something we value and try to preserve. Glipmore's skin pattern shifted to a pale yellow. This explains much about humans. Your species evolved facing constant threats and challenges, which makes you unpredictable and dangerous, HFY added. Ryan frowned. We prefer to think it makes us resourceful and adaptive. Before the discussion could continue, the station's alarm system activated with a piercing wail. Warning: environmental system failure in Section 8. All personnel evacuate immediately. Ryan moved instantly to the communication panel. Garcia to control. Status report. Chief, we have a coolant leak in the life support systems for the Confederation quarters. Temperature rising rapidly. Methane mixture becoming unstable. HFY's translator emitted a series of high-pitched sounds. We must evacuate. Our species cannot tolerate temperature increases of more than 10 degrees. How many Confederation members are in Section 8? Ryan demanded. 17, came the reply. Rescue teams are suiting up, but will take 15 minutes to reach them. They'll die before then, Ryan said firmly. He turned to Samantha. I need your help. Without hesitation, they rushed to the emergency equipment locker. Ryan grabbed 2 environmental suits designed for methane atmospheres. What are you doing? Glipmore asked, his skin now pulsing with anxious purple patterns. We're going to get your people out, Ryan explained while pulling on the suit. Humans can handle higher temperatures than your species. Impossible, HFY objected. The conditions will be lethal. For you, perhaps, Samantha replied, sealing her helmet. For us, it's uncomfortable but survivable. Ryan and Samantha entered the airlock connecting to the Confederation section. When the door opened to Section 8, they were hit with a wave of heat. The temperature display on their suits read 42 degrees Celsius, and rising. Through the methane-rich atmosphere, they could see Confederation members collapsed on the floor, their bodies unable to cope with the heat. Working methodically, Ryan and Samantha began carrying the aliens to the emergency evacuation pods. The temperature continued to rise as they worked. Sweat poured down their faces inside their helmets and breathing became difficult. Yet they persisted, making trip after trip until all 17 aliens were safely evacuated. By the time they finished, the environmental readings had reached 58 degrees. Ryan staggered as they returned through the airlock, his face red from exertion. In the control center, Glipmore and Keshava watched in amazement as the humans emerged, removing their helmets and gulping in fresh air. "Are all the Confederation members safe?" Ryan asked between deep breaths. "Yes," Glipmore replied, his skin now a bright, admiring blue. "You saved them all?" Keshava approached the barrier separating them. For the first time, she did not keep her distance from the humans. "I do not understand," she said. "You risked your lives for people who fear you." Samantha, still catching her breath, gave a tired smile. "That's what humans do. We help each other regardless of differences." "Perhaps," Keshava admitted, "we have been too quick to judge your species based on your world. Strength does not always mean danger. On Earth we have a saying," Ryan offered, "adversity does not build character. It reveals it." Glipmore's skin shifted to a deep gold, a color they had never seen before. "I believe we have much more to learn from each other than we realized." As maintenance crews worked to repair the damaged systems, humans and aliens gathered in the observation lounge. Together, they looked out at Earth glowing blue and green against the blackness of space, a deadly world that had produced not monsters, but heroes. The Confederation Central World loomed large through the viewport of the human diplomatic shuttle. The massive artificial habitat was a marvel of alien engineering, a hollow sphere 50 kilometers in diameter with an interior surface covered in cities, parks, and waterways. Artificial gravity pulled toward the outer shell, making the entire inner surface habitable. Ambassador Nicole Foster gazed at the spectacle with genuine wonder. After 6 months of negotiations following first contact, humanity had finally been invited to present their case for recognition before the Confederation Council. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Beside her, Jordan Kelly nodded silently. As head of security for the diplomatic team, he maintained a professional demeanor, but even he couldn't hide his amazement. His eyes scanned the approaching docking station, automatically assessing potential threats and escape routes, habits formed during 15 years in special forces. "Beautiful, yes," agreed Trilnax, their alien escort. The slender scientist had become one of humanity's few supporters in the Confederation. "But I must warn you again, many species are still frightened by humans. There will be protests." "We understand," Nicole replied. "We've faced fear before. It's a natural reaction to the unknown." The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Nicole smoothed her formal diplomatic uniform and stood. "Time to make our case." The Central Council chamber was designed to accommodate representatives from over 200 species. Massive screens displayed real-time translations. The seating was arranged in concentric circles, rising like an amphitheater around a central speaking platform. As the human delegation entered, a wave of murmurs swept through the chamber. Many representatives shifted uneasily in their seats. Some even moved to higher rows, as if a few extra meters of distance would provide safety. Grand Counselor Earth-X, leader of the anti-human faction, stood at his place in the inner circle. 8 feet tall with scaled skin and multiple eye stalks, he cut an impressive figure. "The Council recognizes the human delegation," he announced, his voice carrying both authority and thinly veiled disdain. "You may approach the speaking platform." As Nicole walked forward with Jordan and 2 other diplomats, Earth-X continued. "We have reviewed your application for recognition within the Confederation. Before we proceed to questions, I must address the serious concerns raised by many members." Nicole maintained a neutral expression, though she had anticipated this opening. "Humans," Earth-X declared, are an evolutionary aberration. You emerged from a Class 15 Deathworld, a planet so hostile that no Confederation species could survive there for more than a few hours. Your biology is designed for violence and aggression. Your history is filled with warfare. Your very presence causes distress to many peaceful species. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. We must ask, what place can such a species have in our peaceful Confederation? What guarantee do we have that humans will not bring their violence to our worlds? Nicole waited for the translation systems to finish before responding. When she spoke, her voice was calm and measured. Grand Counselor, esteemed representatives, I thank you for the opportunity to address this council. Yes, Earth is classified as a death world by your standards. Yes, our evolution was shaped by harsh conditions. But consider this. Those same conditions taught us not just survival, but cooperation. She gestured to the chamber around them. Look at what you've built here. This magnificent habitat, this alliance of diverse species. You achieved this because you did not have to devote resources to surviving hostile environments. Your gentle worlds allowed you to focus on technology and cooperation from an early stage. Nicole took a step forward. Humans had to learn those same lessons while also facing predators, natural disasters, and extreme climates. We didn't just survive our world, we came to appreciate its beauty and diversity. We learned to protect life, not just our own, but all life on our planet. Trilnax rose from her seat. If I may add, council members, my research shows that human adaptability could be invaluable to our Confederation. There are problems we have never solved because our species evolved in stable environments. Humans think differently. They find solutions where we see only obstacles. Earth-X's eye stalks twisted in annoyance. Theoretical benefits do not outweigh practical risks. Humans are unpredictable. Their physiology allows them to survive conditions that would kill most of us. How can we trust a species so fundamentally different? Jordan Kelly stepped forward, his movement causing several nearby representatives to flinch. May I respond to that question? He asked. Nicole nodded, and Jordan addressed the council. I understand your fear. I'm a security specialist. My job is to anticipate threats. But there's something you should know about humans. We fear too. We feel pain. We value peace. The difference is that we've learned to function despite our fear, not because we lack it. He looked directly at Earth-X. You see our ability to endure harsh conditions as threatening. We see it as responsibility. The strong protect the vulnerable. That's what civilization means to us. A low buzz of conversation filled the chamber as representatives discussed these words. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the room. A small group of aliens rushed toward the speaking platform. Their skin colors and patterns identified them as extremists who had publicly opposed human recognition. Death to the monsters, one shouted, raising what appeared to be a weapon. The council erupted in panic. Representatives scrambled for exits. Security forces moved too slowly, confused by the chaos. Jordan reacted instantly. He stepped in front of Nicole, ready to protect her. But instead of drawing a weapon, he raised empty hands. Stop, he called out. Whatever your grievance, this is not the way to resolve it. The lead attacker hesitated, clearly expecting a violent response. This moment of confusion gave Nicole the chance to step forward, still calm. We came here in peace, she said clearly. We will not respond to threats with violence. That is not our way. Confederation security finally surrounded the attackers, who surrendered without resistance, seemingly confused by the humans' restrained reaction. As order returned to the chamber, Earth-X found himself staring at the human delegation with new eyes. The humans had had every opportunity to react with the violence he expected from a Deathworld species. Instead, they had shown restraint and diplomacy. The council will recess for 1 hour, he announced. When we return, we will hear additional testimony from scientist Trilnax regarding human adaptability. Later, in a private chamber, Nicole and Jordan met with Trilnax and several other sympathetic representatives. You handled that perfectly, Trilnax said. The non-violent response was noticed by many council members. We didn't plan it, Nicole admitted. We just reacted as any diplomats would. That's exactly the point, said Trilnax. What the Council needs to understand is that humans aren't defined by your world's harshness, but by how you overcame it. She activated a holographic display showing data from her research. I'll be presenting this when the Council reconvenes. It shows how human problem-solving approaches could help with challenges we've faced for centuries. Climate restoration on damaged worlds, adaptation to changing conditions, even medical treatments for species with different physiologies. Jordan studied the display. Will it be enough to change their minds? Perhaps not all, Trilnax replied, but you've already started changing perceptions. Fear gives way slowly, but it does give way, especially when replaced with understanding. Nicole nodded thoughtfully. That's all we can ask for, the chance to be understood. Outside the window, the artificial sun of Confederation Central began, its programmed setting cycle, casting long shadows across the inner surface of the habitat. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more fear to overcome. But for the first time since arriving, Nicole felt genuine hope for humanity's place among the stars. The planet Nexus 4 hung like a sickly yellow orb in the viewscreen of the human transport ship Hope. Once a thriving Confederation colony with temperate climate and abundant resources, the world now faced ecological collapse after a series of unexpected solar flares had altered its atmosphere. Dr. Alan Martinez stood at the viewport studying the planet below. As one of Earth's leading environmental specialists, he had seen devastation before: desertification in Africa, flooding in coastal cities, wildfire zones in Australia. But this was his first off-world crisis. It doesn't look good, said Olivia Kim, joining him at the window. The engineer specialized in extreme environment adaptations, having designed habitats for both the Martian and lunar colonies. No, it doesn't, Alan agreed. The atmospheric readings show toxic compounds forming in the upper atmosphere, temperature spikes of over 40 degrees in populated areas. And they've lost 30% of their water supply to evaporation, Olivia added. Reminds me of the Arizona emergency back in '31. The ship's communication system activated. Dr. Martinez, Engineer Kim, please report to the briefing room. We're receiving a transmission from Governor Zeshpax. The colony's governor appeared on the screen, his normally pale blue skin now tinged with gray, a sign of extreme stress in his species. Behind him, other aliens rushed about a control center filled with flashing warning lights. Human specialists, Zeshpax began, his translator struggling with the stress in his voice. I must be honest. There was significant opposition to requesting your help. Many believe that bringing Deathworlders to our colony will only add to our problems. Alan nodded. In the 3 years since humanity's conditional acceptance into the Confederation, they had faced such prejudice often. We understand, Governor. We're here only to help on your terms. Zeshpax's breathing tubes fluttered, their equivalent of a sigh. My terms are simple. Save my people. We have 12,000 colonists, and our environmental systems are failing. We can survive perhaps another 30 days before conditions become lethal. We'll land within the hour, Alan promised. Please have your technical teams ready to meet us. As the transmission ended, Olivia turned to Alan. They're terrified of us, yet desperate enough to ask for help anyway. Fear makes for poor decisions, Alan replied. Let's show them they made the right choice. The landing pad shimmered with heat as the human team disembarked. Although the temperature read 42 degrees, uncomfortable but manageable for humans, the small welcoming committee of aliens wore full environmental suits. Among them stood a younger alien who stepped forward eagerly. Dr. Martinez, Engineer Kim. I am Krilvan, Assistant Environmental Coordinator. It is an honor to meet humans. I have studied your species' adaptability with great interest. Governor Zeshpax moved to join them, his movements stiff within his protective gear. Please follow me to the control center. Time is precious. Inside the colony's main building, environmental systems struggled to maintain habitable conditions. The humans were led to a conference room where holographic displays showed the rapidly deteriorating situation across the colony. The crisis began 42 days ago, Zeshpax explained. Our sun experienced unprecedented flare activity, altering our atmospheric chemistry. Temperatures rose, water supplies began to fail, and now our crops are dying. Alan studied the data. These conditions are severe but not unfamiliar to us. Parts of Earth naturally experience similar extremes. That is why we reluctantly requested human assistance, the governor admitted. Your Deathworld experience may be valuable in this instance. Olivia had already begun sketching designs on her tablet. Your environmental systems were designed for stable conditions. They can't adapt quickly enough to these rapid changes. We need a two-phase approach, Alan suggested. First, emergency measures to stabilize current conditions. Then, longer-term solutions to help the colony adapt to the new climate reality. The governor's posture stiffened. Adapt? Impossible. We must restore original conditions. That may not be possible, Alan said gently. Even with our best technology, reversing atmospheric changes of this magnitude would take years. Your people need solutions now. Krill Von nervously interjected. I have studied Earth's history of climate adaptation. The humans may be right, Governor. Adaptation might be our best strategy. Zeshpax's breathing tubes flattened against his neck, a sign of displeasure. Our species evolved in stable environments. We cannot simply adapt as humans do. You won't have to adapt physically, Olivia explained. We'll adapt your technology instead. After hours of tense discussion, the governor reluctantly approved the human team's preliminary plans. But his final words revealed his continuing doubts. We will try your approach. But remember, if you fail, my people die. 3 days later, disaster struck. The colony's main atmospheric processor, already strained beyond capacity, suffered a catastrophic failure. Toxic gases began leaking into the residential zones, and temperatures spiked to lethal levels for the colonists. In the control center, alarms blared as Zeshpax watched evacuation orders flash across screens. We cannot reach the manual override, he said, panic evident in his voice. It's in the processor core where temperatures have reached 63 degrees. That's fatal for your species? Alan asked. Anything above 50 degrees causes organ failure in minutes, Krill Von explained. The protective suits cannot withstand such heat. Alan and Olivia exchanged glances. But we can, Olivia said. What? The governor stared at them. Humans can tolerate those temperatures for short periods, Alan explained. It's extremely uncomfortable, but not immediately fatal for us. Without waiting for permission, Alan and Olivia rushed to the equipment room. They donned the lightest available protective gear, designed more for the toxic gases than the heat, and headed for the processor core. When they reached the sealed door, Krill Von's voice came through their communicators. The override requires 2 technicians working simultaneously at opposite ends of the core. The system was designed this way for safety. We can handle it, Olivia replied, though sweat already soaked her clothing inside the suit. As the door opened, a wall of heat hit them. The temperature display on their suits immediately jumped to 63 degrees. Even for humans, this was dangerously hot. Heat stroke would begin within minutes. Working quickly, they moved to opposite sides of the massive U processor. Alan's hands trembled as he accessed the control panel, his body already struggling with the extreme temperature. Across the room, Olivia worked on her own panel, her movements growing sluggish. Manual override sequence initiated, Alan reported, his voice raspy. Olivia status? Almost there, she managed. Synchronizing now. The processor hummed as new commands overrode the failing systems. Slowly, the toxic gas levels began to drop. The temperature didn't decrease, but at least it stopped rising. We need to get out, Alan gasped. Our core temperatures are reaching dangerous levels. They staggered toward the exit, supporting each other as heat exhaustion took its toll. When they finally emerged, medical teams rushed to help them. Cool packs were applied to their bodies as emergency treatments began. Through blurred vision, Alan saw Governor Zeshpax standing nearby, his protective helmet removed as the air quality improved. You went into conditions that would kill my species. Instantly, the governor said, disbelief in his voice. Just doing our job, Alan mumbled before unconsciousness claimed him. When Alan awoke in the medical bay hours later, he found Krilvan and Governor Zeshpax waiting. Your actions saved 4,000 colonists in the affected sectors, the governor said formally, and your emergency protocols have stabilized our systems. Krilvan practically bounced with excitement. I've been documenting your methods. The way you approached our problems from completely new angles. It's revolutionary. The governor's breathing tubes expanded slightly, their version of a humble bow. I must admit I did not believe Deathworlders could use their abilities for such selfless purposes. I was wrong. From the next bed, Olivia managed a weak smile. On Earth, we have a saying. When the storm comes, it doesn't matter where you're from. All that matters is that you help your neighbors. For the first time, Zeshpax's mouth formed what might have been a smile. Perhaps there is wisdom in Deathworld philosophy after all. 1 year after the Nexus Y4 crisis, the Confederation's central world looked remarkably different. New sections had been constructed with Earth-standard gravity and atmosphere. Signs in multiple languages, including English, guided visitors through the massive habitat. In the central plaza, a monument stood depicting a human and alien hand clasped together. Director William Harris stood before the assembled dignitaries in the Grand Chamber. As leader of the new Human Integration Office, he had spent months preparing for this historic day. 5 years ago, he began, our species were strangers to each other. Today we gathered to celebrate not just survival, but partnership. The chamber was filled with representatives from 200 Confederation worlds. Among them sat Governor Zeshpax of Nexus 4, his colony now thriving with new environmental systems designed by human engineers. Beside William stood Kara Mitchell, the cultural ambassador who had developed education programs now used throughout the Confederation. Her gentle approach had helped countless aliens overcome their fear of humans. Supreme Counselor Vex Tar, the newly elected leader of the Confederation, rose to speak. His species had once been among the most fearful of humans. Now he wore a human-style jacket as a symbol of cooperation. When humans first came to us, Vextar addressed the assembly, we saw only the dangers of their world reflected in them. We failed to see that surviving hardship had taught them compassion, not cruelty. He gestured to a holographic display showing joint human-alien projects across dozens of worlds. In 1 year alone, human advisors have helped solve problems we struggled with for centuries. Their unique perspective, born of adapting to constant change, has become our greatest resource. Rilmore, the former skeptic who now led the human-alien scientific exchange, stepped forward with a data crystal. Today we announce the first joint deep space exploration initiative. Human adaptability combined with Confederation technology will take us further than either could go alone. The audience erupted in applause, something many alien species had adopted from human culture. Later, at the reception, William found a quiet moment with Vextar and Kara. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come, William admitted. Vextar's breathing tubes fluttered with amusement. I visited Earth last month. I went to a place called Death Valley. Even with my environmental suit, I was terrified. And? Kara asked with a smile. I saw flowers growing in that harsh place. Vexitar replied. Small, determined life, thriving, where nothing should survive. I understood humans better in that moment than in all our previous meetings. Across the room, a group of young aliens gathered around a human teacher, practicing Earth languages. Another group studied human art forms. Near the refreshment area, a human chef introduced alien diplomats to Earth cuisine adapted to their biology. Fear comes from ignorance, Kara observed. Knowledge brings understanding. William nodded. And understanding leads to friendship. Outside the windows of the Grand Hall, the artificial sun of Confederation Central began to rise, casting golden light across the scene. In the distance, a Earthship prepared for departure, its crew mixed human and alien, bound for stars no one had yet explored. What had begun in fear had transformed into hope. What had seemed dangerous had become precious. The Class 15 Deathworld had given the galaxy not monsters but friends who knew how to face the unknown without flinching and how to extend a hand instead of a weapon.